Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and on this video there is lots to negotiate about. So I was reading the Manchester Evening News yesterday and I did quite a few other, stuff I was looking up and actually, it does say the 5 signings that Ole Gunnar Solsjaker recommended in have been ranked from worst to best. So obviously, Daniel James was number 5. Obviously, Manchester United paid £50 million for Daniel James last summer from Swansea. And I've got to be honest with you, I thought he enjoyed a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. Now, recently, my perceptions have been a bit different on him because I don't think he's been so good in the last month or two. But I've got to give him a lot of credit because I thought he did really, really well against Lask, which was of course our last game. And in that game against Lask, he ended his goal drought, did Daniel James, because that was his first goal for Manchester United against Lask since the 31st of August. Also had a really, really good game against Manchester City, created a lot of decent chances, did Daniel James. But I've got to say though, I'm very, very surprised that Daniel James has played as many games to the extent as he has done, because when we did recommend Daniel James, I did expect him to play, but I didn't expect him to play on a regular basis. Don't forget, he is only at the age of 21. So yeah, very, very good overall, and I think he's very, very good at international level as well as the player. So yeah, I've got to give Daniel James a hell of a lot of credit. So yeah, he's number 5. Now, number 4 is Harry Maguire. Now, I've also got to give Harry Maguire a lot of credit because I think he's done really, really well since his arrival from Leicester last summer. Manchester United did pay around £80 million for Harry Maguire, but I've got to say he has addressed our defensive deficiencies fantastically well. I think, his calmness, his composure is very, very good, and his distribution is good, and he shows that ability to play out from the back. And I think also the club did make the right decision by giving Harry Maguire the captaincy on a permanent basis. We give Harry Maguire the captaincy on a permanent basis, reflecting on Ashley Young's departure from the football club this year, because obviously Ashley Young went to Inter Milan for 1.5 million after he endured 8.5 years at Manchester United. So yeah, I think Harry Maguire and Lindelof in our back line have done really, really well, because obviously Lindelof and Maguire are our first choice centre halves. But I think actually now Bay, could get there ahead of Lindelof, to be quite honest with you. So he's number 4 is Harry Maguire. Now, number 3 is Odion Ighalo. Gotta give him a lot of credit because I think, he's enjoyed a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. Odion Ighalo has 4 goals in 3 starts for the football club. And like I've said to you on my other videos, Odion Ighalo has confounded his critics wrong, because a lot of people were saying, like I've mentioned on my other videos, that, it was a panic buy by Manchester United. But like I mentioned, Odion Ighalo is totally comparison to the likes of Martial, Rashford, and all our other attacking players, because like Solskjaer was recently saying, he is an option of a different type of centre forward, is Odion Ighalo. Now, obviously, he's been a Manchester United fan since he was a boy. We have got Odion Ighalo on a 6-month loan. Man United are paying like a third of his wages. Like I mentioned to you, Solskjaer did recently make an admission saying that he could decide to make his transfer permanent this summer. I updated you yesterday. It did actually say that I think Man United are prepared to try and get him on a permanent transfer this summer. And he's even willing to take a £6 million pay cut in his wages, to remain at Manchester United, is Odion Ighalo. Obviously, I think at Shanghai Shenhua, he was on around £240,000 a week. And I think his contract with Shanghai Shenhua still runs until 2021. But hopefully, we can make his deal permanent. Obviously, before he came to Man United, he played in the Premier League anyway, because he served around 3 years with Watford. But, I think he's a very, very good cover up to Marcus Rashford, and he's highly experienced. You could also say as well, he's been a good alternative to Anthony Martial, and he's the vocal point, and, he's a player that, that is scoring his goals. So he is definitely number 3, is Odion Ighalo. And obviously, number 2 is Wan-Bissaka. I've also got to give Wan-Bissaka a lot of credit. He's done well since his arrival from Crystal Palace last summer. Manchester United, of course, paid £45 million for Wan-Bissaka. And obviously, he only made his senior debut back in February 2018, and that was for Crystal Palace. And, he's a very, very good player, is Wan-Bissaka. I think his defensive contribution's good, his distribution's good. Recently, we have seen the attacking side of Wan-Bissaka's game, so I am very, very delighted about that. And I think Wan-Bissaka, is regarded as one of the best right-backs in the Premier League, I've got to admit. So he is number 2. Like I said, this is 5-1, worst to best out of the 5 players that Solskjaer got. And number 1 is Bruno Fernandes. Don't forget, Bruno Fernandes was named the Premier League Player of the Month for February, reflecting on his good run of performances. Bruno Fernandes has enjoyed a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. Like I mentioned to you, Bruno Fernandes is making the difference in the team. He's very instrumental. His decision making is very, very good. And Solskjaer's actually been urged to build a team around Bruno Fernandes. Now, like I've said, I think Bruno Fernandes is the best player that Manchester United have recruited in since the Alex Ferguson era. And we've recruited over 30 odd players in since the Ferguson era. But I can definitely assure he's the best player that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has signed. And, he's got 3 goals and 4 assists so far as Bruno Fernandes. But very, very good player. And he's going to be here at least for the next 5.5, 6.5 years is Bruno Fernandes. We paid £68 million for him. Bruno Fernandes is like our 4th most expensive signing. He's our 4th most expensive signing. But he's replicating at Manchester United what he did in his 2.5 years at Sporting Lisbon. But I did say we'd get him. I knew all along that he'd do really, really well for the football club. I knew that he would. I said, he was Premier League standard and he was going to come and do really, really well in the Premier League, and he have been proven right. So like I mentioned, revert back to what I said, the Manchester Evening News reported that, the 5 signings that Solskjaer recommended in have been ranked and that. So that's the latest news on that. And obviously Solskjaer spent around £220 million on 5 players so far in 3 transfer windows. But like I mentioned, I think it's more than likely that Solskjaer will be Manchester United manager and going on into next season. Even if the season doesn't resume, if Manchester United don't get qualification for the Champions League or whatever, I still believe he'll be Man United manager next season. Then, of course, if it doesn't work out next season, then I think then he will be sacked as Manchester United manager, Will Solskjaer. But I've got to give, Solskjaer a lot of credit, and I've also got to give our players a lot of credit, because I think a lot of our players have improved under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's guidance. And, I think the players that have improved under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's guidance, I think definitely Luke Shaw's done really, really well. A lot of aspects of his game have improved, and since Luke Shaw has come back from injury, I've been very, very delighted with him. And obviously, Luke Shaw now is into his 6th season as a Manchester United player. He's into his 6th season as a Manchester United player. Obviously, he's endured quite a lot of bad spells as a United player. He's also received a lot of criticism, reflecting on his poor run of performances and his injuries and that. But I've got to say, since he's come back, he's done really, really well. And he was out for 2 months, was Luke Shaw. Also, too, I've got to give McTominay a lot of credit. I think he's enjoyed a really, really good season as Scott McTominay. Yeah, he's enjoyed a really, really good season as Scott McTominay. And I think, since he's come back from that long injury that he had, he's done really, really well. I think him and Fred in our midfield have complemented each other fantastically well. My perception on Fred, I've also got to give Fred a lot of credit, because he's also confounded his critics wrong as Fred. He's confounded his critics wrong as Fred. Because obviously, Fred has been at Manchester United since the summer of 2018. Don't forget, Manchester United paid around £50 million for Fred from Shakhtar Donetsk. Obviously, he was exceptional during his time in Ukraine. But under the Jose Mourinho era, Fred never really got the opportunity. But I think, since Solskjaer's come in, Fred's been given his opportunities, and he has, done really, really well. So he does deserve a lot of credit. Still hasn't emulated that level as yet, but he does need time, does Fred. So just put that into the equation. He did score twice against Club Brugge, by the way, did Fred. He did score twice, did Club Brugge, against Club Brugge, did Fred. And there was his first 2 goals in like 17 or 18 months for Manchester United. So give him a lot of credit. Also, too, I've got to give Matic a lot of credit recently because I think, he's done really, really well for Manchester United as Nemanja Matic. Obviously, we know that he's a backup to like say Fred and McTominay, but I've got to pinpoint out that, when McTominay was absent, I thought, Matic did really, really well. He was hitting the ground running in our midfield. Of course, Manchester United paid around £40 million for Nemanja Matic. So he's now into his third season at the club. Don't forget we got him from Chelsea. And he's made over 100 appearances for the club as Matic. But, a lot of aspects of his game have improved. We know that overall he's a very, very slow player, is Matic. But with Bruno Fernandes in that midfield, he seems to make him a bit quicker. So I'll give Matic also a lot of credit for how good he's done recently. Also, too, Anthony Martial, he's done really, really well. The only problem is, he's sustained quite a lot of injuries this season, and I think that's really had a bad effect on Anthony Martial. As you all know, Martial has been operating in that number 9 role this season, so he's been playing centrally. He does predominantly play on the left, does Anthony Martial, so maybe Man United do need to revert him back to the left-hand side. Obviously, if the season is to resume, then more than likely he will be available because his recent injury was a collision with a goalpost in a 2-0 win against Manchester City. So I think he was involved in a challenge with Edison, was Anthony Martial. But he is only the age of 24. He's still got a hell of a lot of development in him as Anthony Martial. But he's another player that's really, really improved. And he's also a player that's received criticism in the past. And he's been subjected to transfer speculation in the past as Anthony Martial. And that he's been subjected to transfer speculation. Also, too, like I mentioned, I think Lindelof's done really, really well. Lindelof's now into his third season at the club. Man United paid £30 million in from Benfica. But he's done well. I've also got to give Eric Bailly a lot of credit. I think since he's come back from injury, he's done really, really well. Like I said, he's won a lot of aerial duels. He's made a lot of good interceptions. He shows that ability to play out from the back, does Eric Bailly. My only element of concern about Eric Bailly is that he's injury prone, but prior to that, I love him a lot and he is a very, very good player. Eric Bailly is now into his 4th season at the football club. Manchester United did pay £30 million in from Villarreal back in 2016. It was the actual first signing that Jose Mourinho had made when Jose Mourinho was here. And obviously, Eric Bailly's been talking recently, he's swiped at Jose Mourinho, saying basically Solsjaker understands his players better than what Jose Mourinho did. And he basically said, the advantage Solskjaer has got over Mourinho is that with his experience as a top-flight player, it makes a massive difference to life at Manchester United. So these are some of the stuff that Eric Bailly, was coming out and saying. But, quite a few of our players, anyway, are determined to back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Also, too, I've got to say I've been very, very impressed with Mason Greenwood. I've also got to give him a lot of credit. He seldom starts in the Premier League. He started quite a few games this season, though, as Mason Greenwood. He tends to start in the cup games more, does Greenwood, but he's definitely, one of the young upcoming players that's going to succeed at Manchester United, definitely. I've got to give him a lot of credit. I think he's on like 12 goals in all competitions this season. He's only the age of 18 or 19. Don't forget, Greenwood only made his full debut in the 2-0 defeat to Cardiff last season. But he's an option as number 9, and you can also play him on the right-hand side, Mason Greenwood. But very, very promising young player. Williams has done really, really well. He's a left-back, he's Brandon Williams. But obviously still inexperienced at the moment because it's only his first season in the senior squad, is Brandon Williams. Obviously, Tuan Zebe, I think, now he's back from injury, which is very, very good. We've got Garner that's played a couple of times this season. Obviously, Chong and Gomez, their appearances have been limited. Obviously, we do know that Chong's staying at the football club because obviously, he's staying at the football club because last week he signed a new 2-year contract with the football club, did Chong. So we know now he's staying with an option of a further year, that is. I already given you the latest news, didn't I, recently regarding Angel Gomez? But one thing I do credit Solskjaer for, he has got a lot of trustworthy in his young players, and he did say it's a privilege to manage a young squad because there's a lot of young players in our current team and that. So let's just put that into the equation. But yeah, a lot of players have improved under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's guidance. And Solskjaer, obviously, is making plans for the summer and he wants to make more signings in the summer transfer window. Solskjaer does believe from his own perception that, Manchester United need around 3 to 4 signings if, we are to be title contenders. Because obviously, once we need to win the league, I think, within the next 3 years. Because we don't want to we don't want it to take us 30 years to win a title, like it has done with Liverpool and that. And as it stands at the moment, we haven't won the Premier League for 7 years. The last time we did win it was back in 2013 in Alex Ferguson's last season and that. But obviously, it's very, very imperative anyway that we do get some silverware on the board under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And like I mentioned, we have got quite a few ambitions. We've got quite a few ambitions. And one of those ambitions is the Europa League. That's a chance for us getting some silverware on the board. Plus, it's another route to Champions League qualification. And also, too, the FA Cup is a priority for us because that's a chance for us getting some silverware on the board is the FA Cup. So, hopefully, the European games can be rescheduled. The FA Cup games and that can be rescheduled. Obviously, the league is suspended for at least 3 weeks, like I mentioned, due to the outbreak of the coronavirus and that. But hopefully, it will resume after April the 3rd. But there again, there's teams that are saying that the season should be voided. Like I mentioned, I don't know if Liverpool are going to get the title. Teams who are in the relegation zone going to get relegated. Leeds and West Brom going to get promoted. There's been a lot of rumours saying that could be. This is controversial plans. There's been rumours saying there'll be 22 teams in the Premier League next season. There'll be 5 teams relegated, and the EFL Cup games will be axed, to increase the fixtures of the Premier League. Because obviously there would be more fixtures, wouldn't there? With 22 teams in the Premier League next season. But that could be the only route out of this. To be quite honest with you, it could be the only route. But like I say, got to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a lot of credit recently because, like I mentioned, he deserves to be credited when he deserves to be credited and he deserves to be criticised when he deserves to be criticised and that. And I've criticised him a lot this season and so too have a lot of other Manchester United fans. But recently his approach to games have been good. He's showed, tactical flexibility. He seems to have had a plan A and a plan B, and this is something he hasn't had for the vast majority of this season. But we are unbeaten in our last 11 games in all competitions, and this is our best run of form since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the interim manager. Now, obviously, Solskjaer is still under pressure, to keep this good run of form up. He's been under pressure anywhere for the vast majority of this season because Manchester United have enjoyed their worst start to a Premier League season ever. So we've enjoyed our worst start to a Premier League season for 30 years. But even though we have done that, we can still finish in that top 4 this season and we can still get qualification for the Champions League because a lot of teams this season in the Premier League have been really inconsistent in that. And that's one of the main explanations why Liverpool are so far ahead because a lot of teams have been poor. A lot of teams were poor that season, when Leicester City won the Premier League and that. Yes, there wasn't that. But these stuff, I have got to credit Solskjaer for, to be fair. And, like I said, this season, our record against elite opposition has been very, very good. We've registered like 17 points against the good sides. Also, too, we've scored a lot of goals recently. I think a lot of aspects of our game have really, really improved recently. We're scoring more goals, like I mentioned. We've scored 29 goals now in our last 11 games, which is good to see. We've kept 9 clean sheets and only conceded 2, so that's very, very good. And, also, like I mentioned, we're scoring more goals, we're playing as a unit, we're playing as a team, our football and that looks expansive, so it's good to see that a lot of aspects of our game have improved, and, Solskjaer has outlined his philosophy at Manchester United, and he wants to see attacking football under his management, so basically this is what Solskjaer has ordered the team to do. This is, what he's ordered the team to do, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and that. But yeah, I have been very, very delighted recently. Obviously, earlier on this season, analysing it, we was in a relegation battle, to be quite honest with you, with how poor we was doing. And, Manchester United have not been relegated since 1974, which is 45, 46 years ago or something like that now. But, like I mentioned, Solskjaer will be given at least another season. As it stands at the moment, he has been at Manchester United nearly 15 months of Solskjaer. Oh, it is 15 months, and he's been permanent Manchester United manager for the year. The main explanation why we give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the job on a permanent basis is reflecting on, what he did when he was the interim manager and that. But like I mentioned, this season, we haven't only had doubts and that about the management. Obviously a lot of United fans have had doubts about the club's ownership. They've had, a lot of them have been criticising Ed Woodward. We've also been very, very sceptical about the board. So it hasn't only been problems with the management. I still don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a long-term solution for Manchester United. I still don't think he's good enough to the highest level, but time will tell. Ed Woodward was talking a while back, and, he said he's laid the foundations for long-term success with Solskjaer. Like I mentioned, quite a lot of our players are still determined to back him. But whether Solskjaer's managerial tenure at Manchester United works out or not, whether his managerial tenure at the football club works out or not, we'll never forget what he's done for the football club, because he was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years. He flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance and that. And obviously, like I mentioned, he's inexperienced as a manager, but looking at it on the other hand, the longer he remains in the Man United job, he's going to gain more managerial experience, is Solskjaer. Because obviously, before he came to Man United, he'd only managed two clubs. Obviously, he managed Molde. He won a couple of Norwegian titles when Molde did Solskjaer. Obviously, before he was at Molde, he was at Cardiff. And his actual record at Cardiff was disastrous, was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's. He ended up getting Cardiff relegated, and this is the main explanation why he did get sacked from Cardiff, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and that. And I did say, if Manchester United were to sack Solskjaer, then obviously, I think our next manager probably would either be Mauricio Pochettino or Massimiliano Allegri, because they've been the two managers this season on Manchester United's agenda who could replace Solskjaer at the club. Like I mentioned, Manchester United have already sacked three managers since the Alex Ferguson era. Obviously, under Ferguson, though, he was absolutely fantastic. We recommended Ferguson in from Aberdeen back in 1984. Ferguson didn't win out in his first 4 years at the football club. But look, after that, look what he went and accomplished. It was unbelievable. We won the vast majority of our silverware under Alex Ferguson. Ferguson enjoyed 26, 27 years at Manchester United and that. And then, obviously, he retired in 2013, Ferguson. And obviously, Ferguson made one mistake by recommending David Moyes in. Obviously, we knew Moyes was never going to be good for the job. He only endured 8 or 9 months at Manchester United, David Moyes, and we finished 7th in under his guidance. That's the lowest we've finished in the Premier League era. Then obviously we got Van Gaal, didn't work out under him, despite the fact he won the FA Cup. Then obviously after him we got Jose Mourinho in. He endured 2.5 years at Manchester United. Didn't work out under Jose Mourinho because, like I mentioned, he had bad disputes with the board, bad disputes with the top players, and the board weren't backing the signings that I wanted to recommend in the summer of 2018. And these are the main explanations why it didn't work out under Mourinho. But Mourinho won the Europa League and the League Cup in his first season at Manchester United and got his second in his first season and that. And obviously, after Mourinho, obviously, then Solskjaer came in to replace him in December 2018 and that. And from then on, Solskjaer still remains here now. He does still remain here now. Like I mentioned, he's still got around 2 years left in his contract and that. So if we were to sack Solskjaer, he would be the fourth permanent manager to be sacked since the Alex Ferguson era. I've also got to give him a lot of credit as well, though, because since he's come in, he has got rid of a lot of the deadwood. To be fair, around 9 senior players have left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival. And I do expect, Man United to get rid of around 4 or 5 players this summer. I think Solskjaer's planning to get rid of around 5 players this summer and that. Yes, he is. He's planning to get rid of around 5 players this summer. And we're hoping to generate over £200 million for their departures. Obviously, the players that are rumoured to be going in the summer. I think Phil Jones is definitely one of them. Phil Jones has been a long-serving player at Manchester United. He's now into his ninth season at the club, is Phil Jones. And doesn't even get into the team anywhere, so we might as well just get rid of Phil Jones. He's been here since the Ferguson era. Also, too, Lingard, there's also a lot of rumours about him leaving because Jesse Lingard, anyway, has initially lost his place in the team. So he's lost Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's confidence. And whether you play Lingard in number 10 or whether you put him out on the right, we just can't seem to get the best out of Jesse Lingard. And he's got just under 16 months left on his contract on Man United. So I think we'll get rid of him. There's rumours of obviously Marcus Rojo leaving the club permanently because he's on loan at Estudiantes at the moment, is Marcus Rojo. So basically he did make a return to Argentina because Rojo did actually, begin his career in Argentina and that. We had him for around 5 or 6 years. We paid around 14 or 15 million pounds for him from Sporting Lisbon. So he's another player that's rumoured to be going in the summer. Also to Alexis Sanchez, he's another player that's rumoured to be going in the summer permanently. Because don't forget, he's on loan with Inter Milan, is Alexis Sanchez. But despite the fact that he's on loan with Inter Milan, Man United are still paying the vast majority of his wages. We're still paying him around 300 grand a week. And Inter Milan are paying him the other 100 odd grand a week or something like that. Solskjaer did actually say back in January that he would come back to Man United to prove everybody wrong. This is what he basically said, but Sanchez won't be coming back, which is obviously very, very good news. So maybe Andres Pereira could leave in the summer. He's another player. So yeah, there's been a lot of there's been a lot of players. There's actually quite a lot of players, that could leave Manchester United this summer, but definitely more players do need to go. Obviously, I've kept you up to date, haven't I, recently, with the news on, Paul Pogba. I give you the positive news regarding Paul Pogba yesterday. Obviously, Paul Pogba's he's been having personal coaching with Michael Carrick because he has been training away from the rest of the Manchester United players. And Paul Pogba is now back. And, he will be involved in full sessions with the first team. So if the season is to resume, he will immediately play again, will Paul Pogba. So this is very, very good news because Paul Pogba has been out with injury for the vast majority of this season. And due to his injuries, he's only managed 8 games this season as Paul Pogba. He hasn't played since our 4-1 win against Newcastle on Boxing Day. And he hasn't started from the start since September. And the good news is as well regarding Pogba, I think he is staying at Manchester United now, is Paul Pogba. Well, it's looking likely, according to what Solskjaer said. Solskjaer did say that Paul Pogba will be remaining at Manchester United next season. And even Paul Pogba came out last week and confirmed, he's interested in staying at the football club. He wants to extend his contract and, he wants to commit his long-term future with the club. So if he does this, it will end his long-running transfer saga. I think the main explanation why Pogba wants to stay at Manchester United is because he believes he can form a partnership with Bruno Fernandes. So I think this is the reason why he wants to stay at Manchester United. It isn't still fully assured that he'll stay at the club, Paul Pogba, but a lot of United fans have got different perceptions on him. At the moment, he's got a year left on his contract, 2 years, a year with an option of a further year, and he is on around £290,000 a week. So yeah, Paul Pogba is stepping up his fitness regime, which is very, very good news. So yeah, he is now back in training. But Solskjaer revealed last week, he would have been back in training this week, would Paul Pogba and that. But it will be good to see him back in action, like I mentioned. I said if he was to leave Man United, he'd go to Madrid or he'd make a return back to Juventus or he'd possibly go to Barcelona maybe. But yeah. Obviously, Marcus Rashford, I think he's set to be back in the next 3 weeks. As you all know, Marcus Rashford has been out with a back injury for Manchester United. I've got to say, Marcus Rashford has definitely been a big miss for Manchester United. Obviously, we won't be involved in the Euros because the Euros are cancelled. The Euros will be taking place in the summer of 2021 and that. But like I mentioned, there's a lot of players on Manchester United's agenda who we could go in for in the summer, like I mentioned. Sancho's one of the players on our agenda. Jude Bellingham, Jack Grealish. They're players all on Manchester United's agenda. Sancho's going to cost us at least 100 million. Bellingham's going to cost us at least 30 million. So that'd be 130 million there on 2 players Grealish would probably cost us around £70 million, so that'd be like £200 million, something like that on 3 players. But there is still deficiencies in the squad that do need to be addressed. You know, we need another centre forward. Even if we get Odi Gallo permanently, we need another centre forward. We need a right winger. And also we need a central midfielder. So let's just put that into the equation now. Obviously, as well, like I mentioned, De Gea could possibly be going in the summer. I do not know. I will delve into that a bit more later on. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.